So far we had to populate tables in the database manually, but now we're going to review special classes which will help us to automatically populate tables in the database, and those classes are called seeders. They usually contain the logic for filling databases with random data. And to create seeder class for our course model, let's switch over to the terminal and run the following command. Here we have to assign the name for the newly created seeder class. I'll call it course seeder. And now let's open up this file in the editor. It was created inside seeders folder. So in here we're going to write the logic to insert test data into the database. And let's start with the simplest statement, which allows us to create new model and at the same time insert data of this model into the database. Let's call method create. This method accepts array of attributes that have to be assigned into each column of the courses table. Let's quickly fill in this array with all the attributes that we have on the courses table, such as title, description, lessons count, as well as length attribute. For the time being, I'm specifying all the values for those attributes manually, but later on we will learn how to automate this process by using factory classes. So now, before executing this seeder, let's just clear out the courses table in the database so it doesn't have any data, and after we're going to run our seeder. It is supposed to create one record in the courses table. So to run the seeder, let's execute db-seed and specify an option with the name class where we have to use the name of that seeder we want to run. And after this, if we open up courses table once again, we also might need to refresh the database UI by pressing Command R, and the newly created record appears. And if we'll run that same command once again, sure enough, we're going to get another record in this table. And let's say we need to create 10 of such records. I'm going to use a collection for this and iterate over this collection in order to execute the code to create new table 10 times. In here we are calling method range to generate collection with 10 numbers starting from 1 to 10, and then we'll pass callback where we're going to create our course models. And just to be able to differentiate this data, let's just append the number from the collection that we receive as an argument into this callback on each iteration to this title attribute, like so. Let's also inspect what this expression is going to give us in the terminal. So let's execute db-seed once again, and sure enough, we're going to get the collection with 10 numbers, just like we expect. So we are ready to run this seeder. Let's just remove the d statement and execute seeder again. But before doing that, I'm also going to remove all data from the courses table. So after running seeder again, in the database we're about to get 10 records, and we are. We can also see all those newly created courses on the courses page in the browser. And now, before running the seeder, I actually prefer to clear out the table first, so we don't have to manually remove all the data from the table before running seeders. And we can remove all the records from the particular table by calling truncate method on the model, like this. And after running this seeder, we're still going to get 10 records in the table. But if we wouldn't have cleared the table before running the seeder, those newly created records would be appended to the existing ones in this table. And as our application grows, we're going to create more and more seeder classes. And instead of manually running all those classes one by one, we can also put the logic to execute all those seeders at once into the database seeder class, which already exists within seeders folder. So in here, let's execute method call, which takes an array of seeders that are about to be executed once we're gonna run db-seed command in the terminal. So far we only have one seeder. So now let's run db-seed command, but this time without specifying particular seeder, and this way all the seeder that we have just mentioned inside database seeder class will be executed. And as you can see in the database, records are still created. there is also an option to execute seeders along with migrations. So in order to run all the migrations once again, we can execute migrate fresh command, and if we'll add seed flag, it is also going to execute all seeders after all migrations will be run. Let's just make sure one more time that courses table is not empty and all those courses are shown on the courses page in the browser. Let's continue development in the next lesson.